Good morning, football fans, and welcome to this Thursday morning episode of Morning Kickoff, a weekly show where we cover all news football. I'm your host, Matt Whit, and today we are live on the Morning Kickoff YouTube channel. You can come check us out every Monday and Thursday morning around 9 o'clock Central Time, or listen to all the pre-recorded podcasts wherever you get your podcast. Today is April 14th, 2022, and we are here to do our mock draft 2.0. As the draft is exactly 2 weeks away, we are here to do our second mock draft and probably our final mock draft, because I feel like this one's going to be pretty close to accurate. Not a whole lot of football news around the world right now. I mean, congratulations to my Minnesota Timberwolves for making the playoffs. It feels so good to finally get to see this team make the playoffs. I love you, Pat Beverly, for completely changing this team and for the young guys to step up. Just a fun team to watch right now with the Timberwolves, and Coach Finch should be coach of the year right now, and I am so excited to see that. But this is a football show, so we're not really going to talk about basketball. Just congratulating my Timberwolves because it feels so good to finally be in the playoffs. On top of that, Derek Carr actually did just sign a massive extension. Congratulations to Derek Carr. I'm a huge fan of him. If you've guys been tuning into the show, you know this. I love Derek Carr. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks, one of the better quarterbacks, not one of the best, one of the better quarterbacks, and just is underappreciated. So congratulations to him. But for today's episode, we're just going to be doing kind of our mock draft as we are approaching draft season, and it's finally here. So good. I just love the draft. Everybody loves the draft. All 32 teams like the drafts. The Rams like the drafts. And they don't pick until what, the third round feels like? I don't know when they're picking. Probably. They're allergic to draft picks, but who cares? You win Super Bowls, you don't need draft picks. You're perfectly fine. But we're here to do all of this on today's episode of Morning Kickoff. I hope you all enjoy. Do you enjoy listening to this podcast? If you don't, that's totally fine. But if you do and would like to help out, there will be a link in the description that will bring you to my merch store. At this store, we sell t-shirts, sweatshirts, and mugs, and all of the profit earned will go towards the production of this podcast. Thank you all, and enjoy the show. Today, as we are exactly 2 weeks away from the 2022 NFL Draft, we're going to be doing our mock draft 2.0, and this will likely be our final mock draft before it, because it's going to be right on point. This is exactly what's going to happen, will be in this draft right here. So let's get right on to it, over to our mock draft simulator right here. We did one of these earlier, and this is kind of going to be a redo, pretty much another one, kind of changing what people take and what I believe will go down. And this is based off of personal opinion, and then based off of facts, obviously, who's the better player. So first off, Jacksonville Jaguars, second straight year, first overall draft pick. We're going to give them, again, Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, people kind of argue some other edge rushers here. I mean, you can argue Trayvon Walker, Kayvon Thibodeau. At the end of the day, you cannot argue against tape. And for that reason, I have Aiden Hutchinson going first. I know Trayvon Walker, bigger upside. He's statistically just ranked better. Who cares? You can't argue against Hutchinson's tape. Next up, Detroit Lions. In the first one, I had the Lions going quarterback here. I still think they should consider quarterback. We're going to switch it up because I feel like them taking Trayvon Walker is the more likely scenario here. I've talked about Trayvon Walker being the second best edge rusher in this class for some time now. Finally feels like people are really giving him respect for that. I mean, did they watch Georgia? I felt like he was unstoppable with that defense. Yeah, it was with a defense with entire first round talent on that defensive front. The other edge rusher alongside him should be top 5 next year. So that Georgia defense is unstoppable. And good to see Trayvon Walker finally get the respect that he deserves. And I believe he should go to Detroit with the second pick. When he goes to Detroit, he'll likely play defensive end with them, and they can kick Charles Harris back to outside linebacker. Honestly, I'm kind of scared of the Lions. I'm not okay, Lions, I don't think they're going to be like in the playoffs or anything, but watch out for that pass rush. Quarterbacks can be running all over the field, and we got a guy like Kirk Cousins going to be kind of an issue. Next up, Houston Texans on the clock. Texans picking top 5 every year, just like the Detroit Lions, and right away we're going to give the Texans, again, we're giving them an edge rusher. I just feel like right now there's no question the Texans are just going to stick at the third pick and go edge rusher. Unless if someone tries trading up from Malik Willis, fine. But with that being said, I still think they should just sit there, take one of these top edge rushers, whoever falls to them at 3, they can just snag them with the third pick, because wow, they need everybody. They need new starters all around the board, which is why I don't believe the Texans should trade down, and they should just take whoever the best player is available at all of their picks. Don't trade up, don't trade down, just take the best player available. Next up, New York Jets on the clock at 4. Here we could see a trade up for Malik Willis. I talk about Malik Willis being a can't miss prospect. With that being said, I think a lot of these teams are going to just be looking to next year's draft. Like if you look at the Falcons, for example, they'll probably just be waiting till next year to take a quarterback, just because they're going to be bad this year. And same with the Texans. It's like, why take a quarterback right now when you're probably just going to replace him in a couple years? For that reason, New York Jets here, I don't think anyone's going to trade up, and I believe the Jets are just going to go with whoever I believe would help their team the most. And I'm going to honestly give them Garrett Wilson with the 4th pick. Listen, you guys, wide receivers are more valuable than they've ever been in the history of football. You need to take a wide receiver. If you're picking 4th overall, you got to take a wide receiver here. If you're the Jets in this situation, they've handled free agency perfectly, giving their offense a lot more help to work around Zach Wilson. They loaded up on offensive line. And now they just need more targets for Zach Wilson. They gave him CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, so they don't really need to go Drake London here. They don't need to push on Drake London. I see a lot of people doing that. I believe they already kind of have their big body targets in them, and Garrett Wilson would pair up perfectly with Elijah Moore. And yeah, you can put Corey Davis back into the slot, and that's a perfect offense right there. Dang. The Jets are probably going to be picking top 5 next year, but still, that is a young offense that you have to watch out for. Next up, we have the New York Giants on the clock with the 5th pick. Giants on the clock with the 5th pick. We're actually going to have a trade right here. We're going to go on and have them trade with the Seahawks. We're going to have them make a trade with the Seahawks. Seahawks are going to give up a couple draft picks that they got from the Russell Wilson trade, and they're just going to trade up for... we can find it here. They're going to trade all the way up to grab their quarterback in Malik Willis. Listen, I just believe the Seahawks have to go quarterback right now. Pete Carroll's 70. Their entire coaching staff is old. They're probably just going to go for quarterback right now. And I have them trading up just a couple picks. I kind of gave them a lot of draft picks. I have them trading up 4 draft picks in order to take Malik Willis right above the Carolina Panthers in case if the Carolina Panthers are wanting Malik Willis here. For that reason, I just believe Malik Willis is a can't-miss prospect at this point. Yes, it's likely that he's not going to work in the league, but with that being said, him going to that offense, he should work. Let's be honest. Malik Willis, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you want a quarterback right now, and there's nobody you should want more than Malik Willis. Malik Willis has the best arm alongside Sam Howell. Sam Howell might also have a great deep ball, but with that being said, Malik Willis has the best arm and accuracy in this draft class, and you have to trade up if you want to grab him above the Carolina Panthers, assuming the Panthers are going quarterback. Panthers have showed a lot of interest in quarterback, which is why with the 6th overall draft pick, I am honestly just going to have the Panthers still go quarterback and take Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, I just talked about Malik Willis actually having the best accuracy. I would actually give that to Kenny Pickett here. Pickett has the best tape, best accuracy. Yeah, but I wouldn't say he's the best. I wouldn't put him above Malik Willis right now. I'd put Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder above Kenny Pickett for that matter, but I believe the Panthers right now are just no question going to look for a quarterback with the 6th pick and are likely going to take a quarterback or trade down. They don't have a 2nd round draft pick, and I don't believe they have a 3rd round draft pick either. So if they don't find a quarterback at the 6th pick, they'll likely trade down, and they've showed a lot of interest in Pickett. They have. He has great tape, okay accuracy. I'll give it to him. But with that being said, I don't think he's going to work very well in the league. They've shown interest in him, which is why I have him going with the 6th pick. Now the Giants back on the clock with the 7th overall draft pick. Giants are here, just ready to give Daniel Jones some more help. Daniel Jones on contract year, 1 more year left to prove himself. We're going to go ahead and give him who I believe the best tackle in this class is, and that's Evan Neal. Evan Neal will likely start if he goes to the Giants. He'll likely start at right tackle, as Andrew Thomas has done an excellent job as their left tackle, and Evan Neal has played at right tackle some years in Alabama. I believe he did his first couple years and then transitioned over to left tackle. So he'll likely start at right tackle for them. And if we see Andrew Thomas suffer with another injury, we could see them kick him over to block for Daniel Jones' blind side. So great pick for the Giants to be able to get Evan Neal with the 7th pick. And finally, continue to help Daniel Jones because he has 1 more year left to prove himself. Maybe it is just the coaching change he needs. Maybe Brian Dable is just exactly who Daniel Jones needs and they can finally work. With that being said, I believe they should just embrace the rebuild. Trade away Saquon, trade away James Bradbury if you can get multiple 1st round draft picks. Kind of embrace the rebuild. Another team I think should embrace the rebuild, the Atlanta Falcons, who are here on the clock with the 8th pick. Another team that should just look for quarterback in next year's class. Yeah, they could take Desmond Ridder here, but they're going to be picking top 5 next year as well. I'm going to go ahead and with the Atlanta Falcons, I'm also going to go offensive tackle here and give them Ike Ekwonu from NC State. A lot of people will argue best tackle in this draft class. Here's the thing with Ike Ekwonu. Yeah, the guy is a starting caliber right off the bat, starting day 1. And with the Falcons situation right now, I would go ahead and trade away Jake Matthews. I love Jake Matthews. I think he's an outstanding tackle. One of the best in the league. He stays healthy and he's great. What else is there to ask for? The guy's contract right now, if you trade him after June 1st, you can save yourself a lot of money. He's going into his 30s. He's an aging veteran, and you can still get a lot for him. You can get a top second round draft pick for Jake Matthews with one of these teams. A lot of teams are looking for tackles right now, and if you just transition into Ike Ekwonu, obviously you're going through rebuild, so you don't need to stay with your guys over the age of 30. Come on, Falcons. Come on. It's time to go for your rebuild. You got some young talent in Kyle Pitts and AJ Terrell. It's bring in some more young talent and trade away your old guys. This is just what the Falcons have to do in this situation right here. And for that reason, I have them taking a tackle with the 8th pick. They could also go wide receiver here if they wanted to. Now the Giants on the clock with the 9th pick. We have this from the Seattle Seahawks trading up. Giants here with the 9th pick. Giants have a few options. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton still on the board. It's hard for me to put Kyle Hamilton as a top 5, top 7 pick. I'm going to be honest. I just don't believe it's smart at all to take a safety that high when you can find safeties in the 3rd, 4th round and plug them in as starters. Right here, honestly, instead of that, I'm going to go Ahmad Gardner, bring in another corner to play alongside James Bradbury if he stays with them. And this would definitely help out the Giants. Obviously, they can bring in a player like Kyle Hamilton, and he will be impactful on the field. I'm not saying the guy's not going to be impactful. I'm saying top 10 pick is pushing it for safeties. How often do you see safeties taken in the top 10? The best safeties of all time aren't even drafted in the top 10. Ed Reed wasn't drafted in the top 10. Troy Polamalu, I believe he was 16th overall draft pick. I remember a few years ago, 2018, we were talking about Derwin James being a top 7 draft pick. The guy fell to 14, okay? We see safeties fall every year. It's hard for me to put a safety taken in the top 7, especially. I mean, top 10, we could see it, but top 7 is just pushing it for safeties. It's pushing it. They're not as crucial to your team as stud pass rushers, elite wide receivers, lockdown corners would be. It's just more crucial to have those positions than it would be to have a safety. Now, the New York Jets on the clock with the 10th pick. I had them earlier taking Garrett Wilson, who I believe the best wide receiver is in this draft class. Now with the 10th pick, they're here. They can honestly take another wide receiver in Drake London, but I'm going to go ahead and give them some more help to work with Zach Wilson. We're going to have them take Charles Cross with this pick. So Jets with their 2 picks, they got Garrett Wilson and Charles Cross, both players who should definitely help out Zach Wilson to have a better sophomore season than he did his rookie season. Cross will likely start for them really anywhere on the offensive line. You could put him left tackle, right tackle. I like how they tackled free agency, bringing in a lot of new offensive linemen and bringing in new tight ends for him to work with. So they've really done a great job building around Zach Wilson here. And I believe them going for Garrett Wilson and Charles Cross would definitely help him have a better second season and hopefully a better rest of his career than he did his rookie year, because man, he had no help his rookie season. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders on the clock with the 11th overall draft pick. Commanders right here with the 11th overall draft pick have a few options. I'm going to go ahead and have them take a wide receiver in Drake London. A lot will say the best wide receiver in this draft class right here. Drake London has suffered with injuries, so I'm putting him lower than the not taken in the top 10. He's not the fastest guy, so I'm not having him taken in the top 10, but will definitely fit with Washington's offense right now. This would be so good for Washington to be able to get a receiver like Drake London with the 11th pick. You can pair him up with Terry McLaurin, 2 great play styles that perfectly pair up together, and then you got Curtis Samuel back in the slot. I feel bad for Curtis Samuel, honestly. This team just doesn't know how to use him. People talk about Curtis Samuel not being as good as he once was. No, Washington just doesn't know how to use him. Throw him back into the slot, use him the same way Carolina did, watch some tape on how Carolina used him, and you can use him into the offense that same way. Now my Minnesota Vikings are on the clock with the 12th pick. This is kind of my Vikings best case scenario right here. You have Hamilton or Stingley, 2 players that I really want to come to this Vikings team. I'm going to go with the player that should be more impactful, and that's going to be Stingley. Honestly, I get it. Kyle Hamilton, maybe the most well-rounded prospect in this draft class. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Kyle Hamilton at all. It's just you don't want to take safeties when other positions are so much more impactful to the game, like wide receivers, quarterbacks. Do I have to keep going on? I mean, come on. But now we are going to have him actually taken with the 13th pick. We're going to finally have Kyle Hamilton drafted. I feel like this is a much more a much safer pick for Kyle Hamilton to go to the 13th pick. He's going to likely replace Eric Murray day 1. There's no reason to have him not start day 1. I love Eric Murray. played here with Minnesota Gophers, but let's be honest, that guy should not be anywhere near the starting role, and really almost anybody on that defense. So they would go with Hamilton and Kayvon Thibodeau, two players to start day one on that defense that desperately needs it. Now the Ravens are on the clock with the 14th overall draft pick here. Ravens have a lot of options here, really, with this 14th pick. I'm going to actually have them trade down a couple spots. We're going to have them trade down with the New Orleans Saints. We're going to actually have the Saints give up a couple draft picks here and just trade up 2 spots in order to lock in Desmond Ridder. Listen, I've talked about Desmond Ridder for some time now. This guy, you have to take Desmond Ridder. I think he's going to have the best college career or NFL career of all of these quarterbacks. I just believe he's going to have it. And I think the Saints have shown a lot of promise in taking a quarterback. Obviously, not getting Deshaun Watson was a big issue for them, but they've shown a lot of promise in quarterbacks here. And I just believe it's time that they trade up and try to take a quarterback. And there's a huge falling off from these top 3 quarterbacks to the rest. And I'm going to give Desmond Ridder right here. The Saints just trade up a couple spots in order to, or a few spots, or no, 2 spots in order to avoid a team like the Steelers trading up and stealing Ridder, because I think the Steelers haven't completely showed interest in quarterbacks, but let's be honest, Mitchell Trubisky is not going to be the quarterback of the future for the Steelers. He might be starting this next season, not going to be the quarterback of the future. And it's so sad to see what happened with Dwayne Haskins too. God, that's tragedy. I can't stand that players dying this young. He just had so much left in the tank too. It sucks to see. I really thought he was going to take over the starting role. Okay, that's just, that gets me. But then I think Desmond Ridder is worth trading up a couple spots for the Saints in order to just give up a day 3 draft pick, and you can lock in Desmond Ridder really. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles on the clock with the 15th pick. I think the Eagles are once again going to go with an Alabama receiver here and go ahead and take Jamison Williams. I know the issue with Jamison Williams is that he torn his ACL in the championship, and there's a lot of questions. Right now, if you look on his record, he's looking like he will fully recover by week 1. Crucial. Jamison Williams, by far the best deep threat in this draft class, and arguably one of the best after the catch. He would be amazing if he's fully healthy. Plus, he plays for Alabama. You can pair him up with the other Alabama receivers right there, with Devontae Smith, with Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's a great offense right there. And then, honestly, watch over Quez Watkins, I think his name is, as a slot receiver. Big body player right there. Also one of the best tight ends in the league in Dallas Goedert. That Eagles offense is scary. Plus their offensive line is still top 10. And top 5, you can argue that as well. So honestly, that Eagles offense is scary. And let's just not see Jalen Reagor play anywhere near a football field. And I believe they're going to be a better offense next season by far than they were this last couple of years. Next up, Ravens on the clock after trading down a couple spots with the Saints, who locked down Desmond Ridder. Now the Ravens back on the clock are going to take who I believe they would have taken with that pick, and they're going to go with Devontae Wyatt. This might seem like a little bit of an overdraft for a lot of players, but Devontae Wyatt just perfectly fits onto that Ravens defense. Can you imagine that Ravens defense with Devontae Wyatt rushing the passer, and then on top of that, you got Calais Campbell still there. You got Michael Pierce stopping the run up the middle. Like, that is a stud defensive front right there. Plus, they got a lot of players, a lot of stud pass rushers who play outside linebacker for them as well. So honestly, Ravens, dark horse Super Bowl candidate right there. They only suffered this last year because of injuries. If they were able to stay healthy, they would be a Plus, it had Devontae Wyatt, one of the most explosive defensive linemen in this draft class, and you can start him day 1. Also amazing against the run, just big body player right there. That would be great for the Ravens to have him onto their team. Next up, we're going to do another trade right here. Los Angeles Chargers are here picking at 17, and the Chargers don't pick 17, and they don't pick until the 79th pick. So I believe the Chargers are going to look to trade down as long as they don't find a player, one of these top receivers. Maybe they do take Chris Olave here or offensive lineman, but really I believe they should just trade down in this situation. And we're going to actually have the Chargers trade down with the we're going to go with Green Bay Packers, if I can find them on this list anywhere. Where are the Packers? Okay, Green Bay Packers right here. We're going to have the Packers give the 22nd pick, and we're going to have them give the that might be a little high. You know what? We'll give them both of the Raiders picks, both the trades for Devontae Adams. I just believe right now the Packers have to trade up for a receiver. They're not going to be able to find a receiver at 22 who who they should give 10 plus targets to a game. They need someone who's going to be a stud. And for that reason, I believe that they're going to give up quite a bit. We'll give them a little bit later of a draft pick than the Raiders one right here. But I believe they're going to really try to get one of these top receivers in this class because, wow, do the Packers need it. They desperately need a receiver. And right here is a good spot to take a player like Chris Olave. Let's be honest. There's a big falling off from Chris Olave and Treylon Burks and Jahan Dotson, George Pickens. There's a big falling off. So I think they're going to try to get one of these top receivers in Chris Olave of Ohio State. Just an excellent receiver after the catch. He's a great deep threat, outstanding receiver, and him going to the Packers would be great for his sake. You got one of the best arguably the best deep thrower in the NFL, and you got one of the best deep threats in this class. So I believe the Packers will look to trade up for one of these top wideouts in this draft class who they can kind of fill in for Devontae Adams' shoes. I wouldn't expect him to be anywhere near Devontae Adams, but kind of be that number one target for Aaron Rodgers to work with. Next up, we have the Eagles back on the clock with the 18th pick. Even after the Saints trade, the Eagles just have so many draft picks. We're going to go with who I believe is the best player available at this pick, and we're going to go ahead and give them, where is he? Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis on that Georgia defensive front, third Georgia defensive lineman to be drafted right here, to really be one of those stud pass rusher. No, he's not really a great pass rusher. One of those stud run stoppers on that Eagles defensive front right there. That Eagles defensive front would be scary. You have him and Fletcher Cox protecting on the interior side of that defensive line. That would be great. Plus, Jordan Davis can kind of be that next man up from Fletcher Cox. He is getting older now. He's in his 30s. Jordan Davis, one of the best defensive linemen in this draft class, the best nose tackle in this draft class. You can play him at nose and you can play Fletcher at the 3-tech. This would be great for the Eagles to add more players who can be better against the run right there, because we already know their secondary is amazing. Their linebacker group is okay, and their offense should be great if they are able to get a player like Jamison Williams. So this is a Eagles draft right here. With how many draft picks they have in this year and next year, they're set. They have set themselves up for success, and hats off to the Eagles for that right there. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints with the 19th overall draft pick. This is from the Eagles trade. We're going to go ahead and give the Saints, who I believe is the best tackle available after they did just take Desmond Ridder in this draft class. We're going to have them take Trevor Penning of Uni to protect for Desmond Ridder on the left tackle position of the offensive line. Obviously, they did just lose their left tackle, Taron Armstead. I believe he signed with the Jaguars, if I have that correct. Great signing for him to go to protect for Trevor Lawrence, but now they need kind of a new left tackle, someone to really be that next future guy at the left tackle position. And Penning, watch out for Penning. That is a massive man. Big guy coming from Uni. I don't know how he went to Uni. That guy could have probably signed with other teams. Small school to be first round draft pick right there. But 19, some will say a little bit of an overdraft right here, but it's a must. Big need. If they're going to take a quarterback like Desmond Ridder, they need players on that offensive line. More starters on that offensive line. Next up, we have the Steelers with the 20th pick. Steelers are sitting comfortably at 20 right here, just ready to take an offensive lineman. And we're going to go ahead and give them the best interior offensive line in the class by far, Tyler Linderbaum. Linderbaum, I've had this in the previous draft class, or in the previous mock draft, Linderbaum going to the Steelers to play center for them. Just an excellent draft pick. Linderbaum, no question. In my opinion, the best center I've ever seen play college football. Completely worth the 20th draft pick, if you ask me, especially when Mitchell Trubisky's number one role, hand it off to Najee Harris 30 times a game. Who's arguably the best run protector in this game? Linderbaum. Think about how perfect that would be. Plus, he's protecting for Mitchell Trubisky here. Now, him being a little undersized is kind of an issue, but there's a lot of great undersized centers out there. I mean, it's kind of it's not as big of a position as, or big of a thing being a massive center as it once was. It's more athletic of a position than it's ever been before. So Linderbaum, perfect pick for the Steelers at the 20th pick. And they're just sitting comfortably here, ready to take one of these offensive linemen that they can get with this draft pick. Next up, we have the Patriots here at 21. Patriots always are looking to trade down. They're always, Bill Belichick loves trading down. He just is allergic to first round draft picks and will like to trade down. I don't think he wants to right here. I really don't. I think there's a player on the board right now that Bill Belichick, if is on the board, will take, and that is Jermaine Johnson of Florida State. Obviously, in my opinion, probably not the best edge rusher right here in Jermaine Johnson, but with that being said, he perfectly is a Bill Belichick guy. The guy's fit completely, massive dude, large wingspan, which is huge when you play on that Patriots defensive front. And this guy is perfect for the Patriots right here. I know it seems like a little bit of an overdraft, but we see the Patriots do this all the time, and they make them work. Imagine Jermaine Johnson being another pass rusher on that team, can add up with Matt Judon. God, watch the Patriots just always seem to find a value in their draft picks. And while he might not be worth a 21st draft pick in a lot of people's opinion, him going to Bill Belichick will make him look like he was worth a top 10 draft pick. That's how it usually works with these Patriots defensive linemen. Next up, we have the Chargers here on the clock with the 22nd pick. Chargers on the clock right here are really kind of looking for a lot of different. They have a lot of needs right here. Who do I think the? Why do I have the Chargers with the 22nd pick? It should be the Eagles if I have that. Did I have the Packers give up another draft pick? Okay, I don't know why it's the Chargers right now. That's not right. We're going to switch it over to the Eagles because... Oh, no, it is Chargers. It is Chargers because the Chargers traded down with the Packers. That's what it was. Okay, I had it mixed up right here. But we're going to go ahead and give the Chargers... They're kind of sitting here ready to take whoever they can. We're going to give them... Should we give them Trent McDuffie? Yeah, let's give him Trent McDuffie, adding another player to that secondary. Now, obviously not the biggest need for the Chargers right now. Like, they took Asante Samuel last year. They have JC Jackson, who they just took. Trent McDuffie, it's so important to just have 3 great corners in the league right now. McDuffie can step in immediately as that slot corner. He's the best player available, in my opinion, right here. He can be that slot corner for the team. You can blitz him, too. You can move him as a pass rusher. The guy's quick. There's no question Trent McDuffie should be able to be at least impactful in the football field. And while I don't believe he should be a starting corner outside, a starting outside corner outside the numbers, I do believe they can start him inside the slot and really help out that secondary because, let's be honest, that secondary needs a lot of help right now. Next up, I'm going to talk about secondaries who need a lot of help. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the clock with the 23rd pick. Cardinals are just sitting pretty ready to take a corner as well. And I believe this is a perfect spot to take Andrew Booth of Clemson to start alongside what's his name, Byron Murphy. To start alongside Byron Murphy, you also have Budda Baker in the secondary. Like, your secondary is good right here. Just add more potential starters to that secondary right here, and this would be great for the Cardinals to swing on another defensive player. Cardinals just love taking defensive linemen or defensive players in the first round of every draft. It seems like every year their first pick goes to defense, and right here I have them taking Booth Jr. of Clemson to start at outside corner. Next up, we have the Cowboys here with the 24th pick. Cowboys, another team who really picking this late do have quite a bit of needs here, and we're going to give them Treylon Burks of Arkansas. And I believe this is worth it. Him being a wide receiver and how crucial of a position it is, I believe it's worth it. Plus, Cowboys like the receivers. Right now, after losing Amari Cooper, you have Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb, who is a perfect wide receiver duo right there. Just keep adding wide receivers to that team. I believe they also did just lose Cedric Wilson, if I have that correct. So just add another receiver to that team in Treylon Burks of Arkansas. You can start him as a slot receiver. You can kick Michael Gallup back to the slot, start him outside. Just give Dak Prescott all the help he can get. Give him more help onto that team. You can also add offensive line here. I just think taking interior offensive line this high right here, with how not great of a interior offensive line draft class that this is, I think this is a great spot for him to go right here at the 24th pick. Treylon Burks. Well, I'm pretty sure the Bills would like to take Burks as well. Bills on the clock with the 25th pick are going to go with, finally, after falling this far, are going to go with George Karlaftis. Thing about Karlaftis is he's just small. The guy's got T-Rex arms. He's tiny. And I think he's going to work as an outside pass rusher if you use him correctly, which the Bills should be able to use him correctly. If he goes to the right system, we'll be able to work. No question. The guy's quick. He's got the tape as well. I mean, from Purdue, he's got a great tape coming out of that Big Ten right there. And him going to the Bills is perfect. You can add another pass rusher to that Buffalo Bills team. You can pair him up over with Von Miller as well onto the Bills. Just a stud defense right there. And I think this is a great spot for him to go. Him falling all the way to 25, a lot of people will kind of be mad about that. I just don't see him being drafted in top 15 right now with how undersized he is. And he also suffers with injuries. Just got to go to the right situation. Here with the Tennessee Titans at the 26th overall draft pick, Titans are going to take another player who fell far. And we're going to give him Devin Lloyd of Utah. Listen. Linebackers, safeties, inside linebackers, safeties, these players fall all the time. There's no question we're going to see Devin Lloyd slip in the draft. There's no question we're going to see Kyle Hamilton fall in the draft. Maybe falling to 13 is a little bit farther than a lot of people's opinion. I just don't see these players being worth how high a lot of people are putting them at. Listen, I think they're going to work perfectly. I think Devin Lloyd's going to have an amazing career in the NFL. Kyle Hamilton's going to have an outstanding career. you just don't take these players high. You just don't, because especially when you can find starters in the third round in these positions. You just don't have to take these players at such a high position. And this is great to take them with the 26th pick for the Titans. They can start them day one onto that Titans defense that desperately needs help. That Titans defense needs a lot of help. Who's their starting corners right now? They have Christian Fulton and Caleb Farley, if I have that correct. Christian Fulton and Caleb Farley. I mean, you need anybody who could play into pass coverage on that defense, and Devin Lloyd is a perfect spot right here. We could also see them go corner if they wanted to. Next up, with the 27th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. Last time I had them taking Sam Howell. I still think they should consider taking Sam Howell here, especially with Kyle Trask not having a great rookie season and doesn't look at all like he's ever going to be the starter franchise quarterback for this team. I'm going to go ahead and give them a more likely pick right here, and they're going to go ahead and take a corner with this draft pick and take Kaiir Elam. I love Elam. I think he's going to be an outstanding corner. I think he's going to be like a solid corner in the league, which is exactly what you want, what you're asking from a late first-round draft pick. Just getting a corner that can do its own, that can hold its own really on that team. You can play him alongside... You can play him alongside Cameron onto that secondary and likely be the starter by the end of the season. So I think the Buccaneers, this is a great spot for them. Great pick right here, especially with Richard Sherman not playing for them anymore. They need a lot of help into that secondary, looking at the cornerback positions specifically, especially in that division right now. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers back on the clock with the 28th overall draft pick. Earlier, I had the Packers trade up for Chris Olave. I just think they're going to trade up for one of these top wide receivers. They need a wide receiver they can comfortably give 10 targets to a game right here. And now them trading up for Chris Olave, wide receiver is not the biggest need after that, but I'm going to go ahead and say they still need wide receivers. They still need more wideouts. And for that reason, I'm going to give them George Pickens of Georgia. He will pair up perfectly with Chris Olave. Having Pickens and Olave starting outside wide receivers for that offense would be great. Now, Pickens, you can argue he's not worth the first-round draft pick, and maybe taking a player like Sky Moore here or Jahan Dotson would be a more likely fit for the Packers team. I just think Pickens with his massive frame would be helpful for this team. He hauls in every catch you ask him to do. Chris Olave can be that after the catch and deep threat that the Packers need as well. So taking two wideouts in the first round is perfect for the Packers. It is. It's taking two wide receivers in the first round would be very helpful onto that team. As they need not just two wide receivers, they need about 5 receivers after losing Devontae Adams and Amikue St. Brown after already not having great wide receiver core right there. Also, why does Randall Cobb still in the league with that as well? So on now we have the Chiefs here at the 29th and 30th pick. A lot of people say the Chiefs should trade up here. Here's the thing with the Chiefs. They're picking late first round for a team that was just in the AFC Championship round. They have a lot of needs. That Chiefs team has a lot of needs who need to be starters onto that team. They don't have money where they can just bring in a bunch of players in free agency. They're likely going to stay with their draft picks and just take whoever they can to plug onto that team. They do have a lot of needs. They're still one of the best teams in the league, and they're going to be picking late first round every year. But with that being said, there's a lot of holes that are on that offense and defense right now. So I think they're going to stay right here at 29 and 30 and just take whoever they should plug in as a starter. It doesn't have to be best player available, just whoever will start for them onto that team. We're going to go ahead and give them Roger McCreary of Auburn, a very underrated corner in my opinion. Will start day one onto that defense. Just needs a new corner. Take a corner in the first round, swing, see if you can hit. Next up with the 30th pick, also another position they need desperately. They're going to take a wide receiver and take Jahan Dotson of Penn State. Jahan Dotson, Watts out for Dotson. That man is one of the best deep threats in this league. Feels like every wide receiver in this draft class is just fast. Every receiver in this draft class runs a sub 4.4, and having Dotson onto that offense can kind of fill Tyreek Hill's shoes to kind of be that deep threat that just runs past guys, and that's really how he can play onto that offense. You also got Tyreek Hill, who just eats up all of the mid-range passes and short passes, so we'll pair up perfectly with Tyreek Hill in my opinion. Plus, you got a lot of other threats to make that offense work. A lot of receivers onto that offense just becomes household names. McCole Hardman is still there, no problem. Juju they just brought in. These are players that will still work onto that offense. Next up, we have the Bengals with the 31st pick. I'm sure the Bengals are looking to kind of trade down here, especially with a lot of these top offensive linemen off the board and a lot of the top corners off the board. I think the Bengals will be looking to trade down. We're going to actually have the Bengals not trade down here and take a player who, wow, PFF is really high. They have Raymond ranked 13th That's crazy. But we're going to actually have Raymond end up being a first round draft pick going to the Bengals team. Will likely play as an interior offensive lineman, left guard, right guard, somewhere on the inside of the offensive line. He played a tackle at Central Michigan, but I believe him going to that Bengals team will probably not be a tackle. Let's be honest. He's not going to be a tackle with Central Michigan or with the Bengals in the NFL. He'll likely play left or right guard for that offense, and they need both positions right now. So I think they're kind of waiting to take whatever offensive lineman they can start day one or trade down. Next up, Lions finally on the clock. This is from the LA Rams trade, from the Matthew Stafford trade with the 32nd pick. We're going to go ahead and now give my boy Sam Howell to end up being a first round draft pick. Sam Howell throws one of the best deep balls in this NFL draft. Him going onto that Lions team will be great for that Lions right now to kind of swing on another quarterback. And especially with Jared Goff likely going into his last season with Detroit, you can kind of have someone who can be your backup pretty much. Sam Howell will likely back up his rookie season and maybe be the franchise guy. We'll have to see how he can look. I see Derek Carr on him, to be honest. This guy looks and plays like Derek Carr coming out of North Carolina. His UNC quarterback should be able to work with that Lions offense. Yeah, I think we'll see Sam Howell be the starter for the Lions if he's taken at 32 in at least one season. We'll likely see him take that starting role, or the Lions picking top 5 next year will take a player like CJ Stroud probably. So we'll have to see how that Lions are going to do. I'm really questioning how the Lions are going to handle their quarterback situation right here, because let's be honest, Jared Goff does not need to be there. A lot of teams, we don't know how they're going to handle the quarterback situation, especially with the Steelers. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky is not going to be your franchise guy going forward. We know that Mason Rudolph is not going to be the franchise guy. They're likely not going to take a quarterback in the first round of this draft. We really don't know how the Steelers are going to handle this quarterback need right now. I mean, a lot of Pittsburgh fans coming out here talking about Mitchell Trubisky, MVP. This guy's going to be great with our offense. He just needs another shot. They didn't see enough. They didn't see the Mitchell Trubisky games that I saw when he was with Chicago then, if they're saying all that kind of stuff. But with that being said, I do believe there is some great quarterbacks in this draft class. I mean, I believe one of these quarterbacks is going to end up being a franchise quarterback, whether that's Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, or maybe Carson Strong. I mean, for all we know, Carson Strong might go to a team that will make him work. Maybe he goes to Tampa in one of the later rounds. But that's my first round mock draft, my 2.0 mock draft for the 2022 NFL draft, as we are exactly 2 weeks away. Let me know what y'all think. Bro, never Vikes should take Stingley over Hamilton. You know, I believe... Here's the thing. Hamilton's obviously the better defensive back than Stingley. No question. Of course, he's the better DB. We don't need to take a safety in the first round. You can take safeties 3rd round, 4th round, and they become starters. Look, here's the thing. Take every starting safety in the league who's good and look at where they were drafted. And you'll agree with me. Take every corner in the league who's good and look at where they were drafted. Then you'll see where my point is coming from. Obviously, Hamilton's the better player than Stingley. Hamilton will probably be more immediately impactful to the field than Stingley would be. But the thing is it's just, I don't want to take a safety 13 at the 12th pick. I think it's 12th pick. If you can take a player like Stingley and have a chance on being a lockdown corner in the future. I just really like the guy. I just really like Stingley being on our defense, and Hamilton will obviously probably have a better NFL career. Let's be honest, but he's going to be a safety. He won't be as impactful as a lockdown corner would be. So that's kind of my argument here, is where you can take safeties in the 3rd round and they can still end up being a starter and being a good starter on onto your defense. AJ Green said, I have a gut feeling Steelers are gone. Do whatever they can do. Do whatever they can to get Willis. See, if the Steelers were going to look to getting Malik Willis and trading up, we probably would have heard of rumors already of them meeting with Malik Willis and them talking with teams. We have not heard anything about the Steelers being interested in a quarterback yet. And while I believe the Steelers should look to taking a player like Malik Willis, I completely agree with you right here that they should look to taking Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder, one of these players. We haven't seen any rumors. We haven't seen any proof of this being the case yet. So I think they're actually just going to stick with Mitchell Trubisky right now. Can you believe that? Can you believe the Steelers are sticking with Mitchell Trubisky? At least for the bare minimum, trade for Baker Mayfield before the start of the season. That way you have someone who can actually take a starting role right now. It sucks to see with what happened with Dwayne Haskins. It hurts so much to see a player die that young, to see a player pass that young on simple, just quick death. It's so sad. And I really wanted him to take the starting role in Pittsburgh, where it's not going to be Mason Rudolph, and they're going to have to bring in someone who can play for that starting role. to take Mitchell Trubisky's role, because let's be honest, Trubisky will likely have to be benched by the first half of the season. So we'll have to see how that goes. AJ Green says, I think the Vikings should just go wide receiver at 12. The best defense is a potent offense. See, I like your thinking here, because 5 years ago, this would not be the case. But nowadays, seeing what the Chiefs have done, seeing what the Bills have done, this is 100% the case. A best defense is actually a potent offense. I agree here. Taking a wide receiver at 12 in this case, I don't think that would be smart, because let's be honest, we're in a division where we have great quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is still top 5 in the league. You need corners that can disrupt that team, or else he's going to make every receiver look like Jerry Rice against us. You got to bring in DBs if you're the Vikings here. You got to bring in corner, you got to bring in safety, you got to bring in every position you can get in order to win your division. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you first got to take control of your division. This is how we typically see it go. In this case, I think that the Vikings should look to bringing in a DB in order to disrupt that Packers offense. Obviously, it's an offense without Devontae Adams now, so it's not going to be nearly as good as it was the last 2 years where they completely owned us. Well, talking about their offense completely owned our defense. It's worth taking a defensive back here. It's worth taking a defensive back here, especially in a pass-heavy league. I do think the Vikings should look to taking wide receiver right here. I completely agree. The Vikings should definitely look to taking wide receiver, especially if you can get a player like Garrett Wilson. I'm huge on Garrett Wilson. You can pair him up with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson does everything for your offense. You can have Garrett Wilson being that deep threat, that guy who's great after the catch. But with that being said, I mean, look at how KOC used the Rams this last year. He took everybody and made them look good. I mean, the Rams' entire offense looked great. It wasn't just Cooper Kupp. Like, Cooper Kupp was already good. You just made him great. And then now we could see the same thing here. Justin Jefferson's already good. We could see him make him look best in the league. And then he can make these other receivers also look amazing. I mean, look at Van Jefferson for example. Look at him, how he worked with that Rams offense this last year. Van Jefferson. That guy is not nearly as good as he should have been, or as he would have been. Sorry, he's so much better with the Rams than he would have been with another team who wouldn't have used him properly, is what I'm trying to say here. So that's perfect for us to have him calling the plays, running our team. I love the KOC hiring. I know a lot of people are indifferent on this hiring. Just wait, let it pan out. Give KOC a shot. He was one of my top picks for head coach, and so far, so good when it comes to him being a head coach. AJ Green says, well, I won't be sad if the Steelers suck for a couple seasons. I agree. Steelers, man. Steelers are not in a great situation right here. I believe I think honestly, with them getting rid of Juju, their receiving core got better. I mean, even Juju and James Washington left that team. Like, Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool are no joke. They are unstoppable. And having them being the top 2 targets for Trubisky, you got Najee Harris, who should be getting the ball 30 times a game. If in this case you do get Linderbaum to protect for Trubisky on the interior side of the line as well, they should put up a fight in the AFC North, but I don't expect them to be anything special for some time now. With that being said, I mean, their coaching staff is great. Their coaching staff is outstanding. One of the best coaching staffs in the league, which is why their defense should still be amazing. TJ Watt should still be a threat onto that defense and still be able to at least compete in the AFC North at that. But still, I think a lot of these quarterback situations are really tough, and I know a lot of people are kind of over-evaluating these quarterbacks right now. Just take whoever has the biggest upside. I like Matt Corral into the second round. Maybe he goes to a team like Atlanta and they make him work. We'll see what happens with him. I do like Carson Strong in the 4th round. I don't see him taken very high. I like a lot of these mid-round draft picks who going to the right system can work. If Carson Strong is able to go to a team like Tampa, can you imagine? That could definitely work out. I know they did just take Kyle Trask in the 2nd round of last year's draft, and we could see Trask take the starting role, assuming this will be Tom Brady's last season. We could see him taking the starting role as well. Do you really want to start Kyle Trask, especially how he looked this last season? Absolutely not. But with that being said, I do like how a lot of these quarterbacks look. I love Desmond Ridder. I've been so high on Desmond Ridder. Why do people think Desmond Ridder is not going to be a 1st-round draft pick? Can someone with half a brain explain this to me? Because every time I hear someone explain and evaluate Desmond Ridder talking about him not being a 1st-round draft pick, I don't understand what they're saying. They sound completely dumb. I mean, the guy is no question a top 3, top 4 quarterback in this draft class. Quarterback is the most crucial position to have locked down if you want to be a threat in the future, if you want to rebuild your franchise. And when you see teams like New Orleans Saints passing on him, teams like Steelers passing on him, they're making a massive mistake. They're making a huge mistake right here, especially with his upside. The guy single-handedly carried his team to the Final Four in this last year in the NCAA football, winning the ACC. I mean, what else is there to ask for? What else is there to ask for Cincinnati? I say single-handedly, they do have a lot of great talent onto that team. Obviously, Ahmad Gardner being probably the first player drafted off of that Cincinnati team. So there's still a great team on both sides of the ball. I just don't understand why people think Desmond Ridder should be drafted in the second round. That blows my mind. A few years ago, and then people will compare it to Jalen Hurts too, who was drafted in the second round a few years ago. Jalen Hurts is coming off of an amazing draft class. If Jalen Hurts was coming off of an amazing draft class in the 2020 draft class, I think that was, and then now if he was drafted in this year, would likely end up being a first-round draft pick as well. So you have a lot of teams that are desperately needing a franchise quarterback that should swing on Desmond Ridder, in my opinion. The guy was outstanding at Cincinnati. Every game I watched him play, he was amazing. Yes, his accuracy and his arm was an issue, but you can work around that. You can completely work around them and make him work onto your offense. I completely agree. AJ Green says, bro, I love Ridder. His all-around athleticism is amazing. Exactly. I don't know what it... See, people, every argument I hear about Desmond Ridder being not worth it in the first round blows my mind. You have players, like people say his arm's not great. He doesn't have a great arm strength. His accuracy is kind of an issue. Look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson won MVP. He was a first-team All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler. The guy made it to an AFC Championship. I believe I have that right. He did make it to an AFC Championship. And he doesn't have all those things. I mean, what else is there to ask for? You can make him work onto your offense. You can make Ridder work onto your offense. You just have to revolve your offense around him. If he's able to go to a place like New Orleans, who throw 2-yard dump offs to Alvin Kamara 30 times a game, 5-yard slants to Michael Thomas, he can work. He can completely work in the NFL. He just has to go to the right situation if he wants to work into the league, which is why I believe he will have the best NFL career of all of these college quarterbacks will be Desmond Ridder, because I think he's going to go to a place that will actually respect him. Unlike Kenny Pickett, who people are having him going to Carolina, and I just had that happening. Having him going to Carolina, probably not going to happen in that case. Sam Howell going to Detroit, maybe not going to be great for him as well. Malik Willis going to Seahawks in this case was a lot better of a place than if he were able to go to a place like Carolina, for example. Carolina, that's a team that needs to embrace the rebuild. Why is Matt Rule still the head coach? I can't tell you. They have to completely embrace the rebuild, change that team, go for a new team. I've talked about the future of the Carolina Panthers not being very bright, especially with this quarterback class where they're going to end up with a player like Kenny Pickett. I mean, let's be honest. Do we see Kenny Pickett being a franchise quarterback? Do we see him being an all-pro, Pro Bowler in the future? I don't see it happening. We're going to have to wait and see how this all unfolds, though, and I'm really excited to watch how this NFL draft goes about and how these rookie quarterbacks will look and how this rookie pass rushers will look as well, and I'm really excited to watch this all unfold, and I'm just hoping, praying to God that we can get Derek Stingley, that we can get Kyle Hamilton, that we can get Ahmad Gardner, one of these DBs that can start day one onto our defense. But I thank you all for tuning into this episode of Morning Kickoff. This is going to wrap up our Thursday morning live stream. Kind of a shorter episode. We just kind of did our mock draft and talked a little bit on the recent news. There's just not a lot happening in the NFL world. It's NBA world right now. Thank you, Timberwolves, for making it to the playoffs. Going to be so exciting to watch this series against the Clippers, or not Clippers, we just beat the Clippers, against the Memphis Grizzlies right now. And I'm super excited to watch this all go down. Such a fun team to watch here in Minnesota. And I'm so happy we have a good basketball team. We've been a purple state for some time now, talking about Minnesota Vikings. Now I see people wearing Karl Anthony Towns jerseys on the street, people wearing shirts that say I love Pat Bev. Just so fun to watch us become a team that cheers for a basketball organization, and it's so fun to watch this Minnesota Timberwolves make it to the playoffs. But I thank you all for tuning into this episode of Morning Kickoff. This is going to wrap up our episode, and I hope you all have an amazing, beautiful day. Have a good one.